we are going to be talking about the defections that have hit the political space this morning. If you're just joining us, do stay tuned because it promises to be a very, very interesting segment this morning. Now, political defections and analyzing the changing political landscape. Nigeria's political terrain is experiencing a significant shift as opposition parties, particularly the People's Democratic Party, the New Nigeria's People's Party, and the Labour Party are losing key members to the ruling All Progressive Congress. In recent weeks, a wave of defections has seen prominent politicians abandon their former platforms, raising concerns about the weakening of opposition forces ahead of future elections. The PDP, NNPP, and the coalition of united political parties have accused the APC-led federal government of using state resources and undue influence to pressure opposition members into defecting. Now, this trend has sparked debates about the fairness of Nigeria's political competition, with critics arguing that such moves undermine democracy by entrenching one-party dominance. Supporters of the APC, however, view the defections as a natural realignment, citing dissatisfaction with opposition ranks and the ruling party's perceived stability as key factors. Now, to analyze this and explore all possible angles and, all possible sides to this conversation this morning, we have a public affairs commentator who will be joining us virtually. We have Emmanuel Osemeka. Thank you so much for joining us, Emmanuel, on the show this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right. A lot has been said about the permutations and the defections, most especially the moving of the deltas from Delta State to Edo State and the possibility of hinting on Akwa Ibom State to the APC. These are strongholds of the PDP. So what's your take on the defections that have happened just recently?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me once more. I think it's a normal phenomenon in Nigeria so far. Most political parties in Nigeria, if not all, are bereft of political ideology. Under normal circumstances, political parties are formed with a clear ideological identification, and that is what separates one political party from another. So you want to talk about the PDP, the APC, the Labour Party, the Action, the AA, name them, all the political party. If you look at them, take a look at their documents, you will see clearly written ideological differences between them. Some, interwoven, but when you look critically and within, at actions of the operators, you see these operators do not even understand the ideological making political parts. And that is why it is so easy for politicians to jump ship at every and any turn. Secondly, one of the major reasons why opposition politicians, seem to defect so easily to the ruling party, if you recall, between 1999 and 2003, we had AD, Alliance for Democracy, we had PDP, we had ANPP. And at the end, by the turn of 2003 election, Alliance for Democracy was practically, demolished, with the exception of Lagos State, where you had the Lagos State governor, then Governor Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is currently the president of Nigeria. He was the only surviving political bigwig in the Alliance for Democracy. And a lot of the members of the Alliance for Democracy became part of the government of President Olusegun Obasanjo. The ANPP as well also had practically all their members, dovetailed into the People's Democratic Party, and their national chairman, somebody, I think Mahmoud Waziri, I can't remember, I think Mahmoud Waziri, became a minister for special duties to the then President Olusegun Obasanjo. And by the time we got to 2007, we didn't have opposition anymore. The Alliance for Democracy had to metamorphose into Action Congress. From Action Congress, of course, we know how they metamorphose to Action Congress of Nigeria. Then finally in 2013, they became the APC that you have of today. So what you're seeing today is a repeat of history. The PDP did it to all the other opposition parties at the time when they were in power, and the APC is doing the same thing. So it's the same old trick. But let me tell you clearly, it would have been so easy for politicians who are running their states as governors or what have you to hold their own if they focused more on governance and use resources of the people for the people. Today, many say these defections are, stems from fear of EFCC, fear of arrest, fear of prosecution, fear of the APC taking over their party, their states. Case in point is that the fear of what happened in Edo, may likely happen to a lot of states. So what they are now doing is that instead of staying outside the water, it's better to stay in the pool. You remain in the pool and keep your head above the water. That's what so it's a question of survival today. Oh. So if you look critically and want to analyze, you might say that democracy is dying in Nigeria. What we now have is the government or politics of the elite, and for the elite. The masses are not in the equation. The poor people are not in the equation. Unfortunately, Nigeria is currently ravaged by all forms of different kinds of insecurity. But unfortunately, the political class are not really interested in finding lasting solutions to the banditry that is going on across the Northwest, North Central, and greater portion of the Southwest. And of course, the Boko Haram activities that is still festering 17 years after or thereabouts. So it's neither here nor there. Politicians are currently plotting to survive. And don't forget that Rivers State might also join APC very soon.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you now.
All right, let's talk about the fate of the PDP now. What does it mean for the PDP, seeing that a sitting governor left the party to the ruling party? So there are opinions that are saying that the PDP is gone, it doesn't exist anymore. But what do you make of that?
No, anybody who says PDP is gone does not understand politics and does not understand the Nigerian political history. It's not the first time a sitting governor is moving from PDP to APC or to any other political party. I mean, most it's been moving to APC. In 2014, we had 5 governors move from PDP to APC when APC was an opposition political party. And that was one of the reasons why APC became one of the most formidable political party at the time. Without those 5 governors, it was impossible for APC to have won that election. Whatever means it happened. And if you go, consistently in between 2015 and 2019, so many PDP governors moved. Cross River State's governor, Ben Ayade, moved to APC. PDP governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, then moved to APC. Those are the few I can remember, but quite a number of APC governors, sitting governors, moved. And don't forget, before the 2019 election, you had 5 governors, the G5, led by Minister Nyesom Wike today, who was the governor of River State. You had the Enugu State governor, you had the Benue State governor, you had the Oyo State governor. I'm trying to remember the 5th governor that joined. So there were 5 governors who they called themselves the G5. And they worked against PDP in the 2019 elections. Many of them lost elections, even those that wanted to go to the Senate. They lost their election to the Senate. The only person who survived that onslaught was the Oyo State governor. He won his re-election bid. But Enugu State governor who wanted to go to the Senate lost the seat to Labour Party. Benue State governor who wanted to go to the Senate lost that to PDP, and also he lost the state to APC. Well, who's the other guy again? I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the third person who lost. Abia State governor Ipazu, who also lost the state to Labour Party and lost his senatorial request, as well. So that's what really happened. So it's not the first time. There will be more defections. Let me tell you the honest truth. From the grapevines, it is said that Sim Fubara, the suspended governor of Rivers State, will join the APC soon. Yeah. The Delta State governor has joined, and the entire Delta State apparatus. Don't forget that in 2019, PDP lost Delta State to Labour Party during the presidential election, and they narrowly won the governorship in Delta State. It is also rumored that Umar, will also most likely defect to APC, in the coming days. And there are about 4 other governors that may likely move, jump ship from PDP to APC. That is what you expect. But the reality is that most of these governors, when you look critically, they struggled to win their elections, to hold the seats they hold today. When Nigerians decide, we'll see. And more so now that it's been touted that PVCs will no longer be used, during the election. So it's going to be quite tedious until we find out what exactly the Electoral Act, will come up with against the PVC or not.
All right. Looking at, you made mention of history. You gave it a throwback or a backgrounder, looking at how this has happened in history. So still looking back in history with this current trend, what are your thoughts, or what do you think, or how do you think this might affect the 2027 elections?
So 2 things can happen in the 2027 election, either or. Either the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, goes home to victory with a landslide victory. Nigerians may decide and say, you know what? The last 4 years has been hellish. We're no longer interested. They're going to go, against the sitting party. They will vote, protect their vote, and fight to ensure that what they voted for, happens. So those are the 2 things that may likely happen. And like you asked earlier, I think, which I really didn't answer, when you said what will happen to PDP. Nothing will happen to PDP. PDP will reorganize. The PDP is not made up of the sitting governors. The PDP is made up of their members across the length and breadth of the federation. They have past leaders who are quite experienced and very much experienced. Yes, the struggle PDP has today is because they've never been an opposition political party. They've always been a sitting, they have always formed the government from day one. Those that fought the military and brought, democracy to us were 100% members of the PDP, but many of them are no longer around. But from history, I believe that the ordinary members of PDP who have future political interests will definitely fight, and they will definitely push, reorganize themselves, and begin to, understand that they do not need to play politics of ostrich. They need to understand that it is the people who will elect you. It is the people who will fight for you. It is the people who will vote for you. It is the people that will protect the votes that will put you in power. And it is the people that you need, nothing more. So I think basically that's what it's all about. When the politicians realize this, they will understand. APC is behaving like PDP and worse off. APC is currently behaving like the PDP while it was in power, and worse than that. So what happened to PDP will surely happen to them, either now or later. So it's a question of time. That's just the reality.
Indeed. Now let's look at the likes of, Peter Obi, and how much force he was able to pull with the Labour Party. what role do you predict him playing in the 2027 election? What are you looking forward to seeing from him? Given now with what is happening in the PDP and what is happening in the Labour Party, basically we can say the opposition parties have not put their house in order just yet, and he's been quite not certain of what he's going to do next. People are watching him, but what do you see coming up from him would he be a possible candidate? Would he want to join the PDP? What do you see him playing out?
So I've always said that Peter Obi is the most underrated, politician in Nigeria because of the style of politics he plays. I think somehow he understands the fact that the political parties are at best just vehicles in the hands of whoever controls them. And that is what you've seen and what you still see with the troubled leadership of the Labour Party. Labour Party leadership was infiltrated, and as a result, they began to fight and work against their own candidates. Unfortunately for them, their candidates did not need the structure. They only needed to obey the law that says you must be sponsored by a political party. So the candidature of Peter Obi in 2019 was, championed by the ordinary people on the streets of Nigeria. That's why you could see that wherever he goes, the people saw hope with him. The APC says renewed hope, but the real hope that people were looking forward to was in the hands of Mr. Peter Obi and his team. I mean, the man is a seasoned economist and very frugal in the management of resources, of both public resources and of his own personal resources. He's not the man that is given to throw money around anyhow. So many felt that when he becomes president, he was going to, manage the resources properly, cut cost of governance, and focus more on the human development indices of the country that will help to propel the country into prosperity. That's what many believe Peter Obi stood for and still stands for. So come to 2027, it will not really matter which political party he will go to, because if you're a political watcher and you understand political history, you will know that for a candidate of a party who had no governor, no senator, no House of Reps member, no House of Assembly member, no councillor, no chairman, nothing, no money back. And they won an election against a sitting government. And for whatever it's worth, he came third by mere few thousands votes, or call it 1.something million votes or 2 million votes, or whatever the case is, against a behemoth called APC and PDP. Then, if you imagine that candidate having one or two governors, what will happen? Lessons were learned from the 2019 election. And to be honest with you, there has been some level of, re-examining and examination of what happened. And I also believe that different political blocs have also looked at the decisions they took in 2019 election, and most likely they may change their mind and go in another direction. Which direction they're going to go, we don't know yet, because 2027 is still quite some time to come. This is 2025. We still have barely almost 2 years to go before the elections. But having said that, Peter Obi is a candidate to watch in this election. Over time, Nigerians have shown and proven that money may help you win elections sometimes, but money will not always help you to win election all the time.
All right. There's also, fears and concerns that with the way defections are happening, there's a tendency that, Nigeria is beginning to look like a one-party state. What do you make of that?
No, Nigeria will never get to one-party state. What you have is that the worst that can happen is what APC has always done, or what they've done in the last 2 years, is to weaken the opposition political parties. And how do they do that? They fish out the very greedy and selfish ones who are holding positions of authority in political parties and will make them work against their political party. A case in point is the PDP. If you take a look at the PDP, you will see that the PDP's biggest problem is its own members sabotaging themselves. That's just what it is. And it's a shame. That's not politics. That is criminal. If you can't be president or you can't be in power and you are sponsoring people to, criminally damage an institution such as a political party. You can't deepen democratic, tenets in the country that you govern. What should happen is that the leadership of the country should encourage robust debate, strengthening political parties to ensure that even him and his party sits up. I mean, take a look at APC, for example. APC is not with every sense of responsibility. APC is not run like a political party. When was the last time they had their National Working Committee meeting? It took them almost 3 years to do next meeting. It's not how political parties is done. They're even breaking the law that set them up. It's not that they can't. They can, but because they want to assert that level of dominance and control. And that's why you see that a lot of their members are not happy. And let me tell you, you'll be shocked that it comes 2027, the same people who are moving to APC might help to destroy the APC. That's what happened to PDP. They became too big for themselves. And by so doing, they self-destruct. So I'm not saying APC will, I'm saying might, because the Nigerian politicians are very selfish people. They are more interested in themselves than the polity. They are more interested in themselves than the populace. They are more interested in themselves than the country. Oh. They are not ready to sacrifice for the country, and that's the reality.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Osemeka, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We do appreciate your presence. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, and God bless.
All right, if you're just joining us there, we're talking to Emmanuel Osemeka, who is a public commentator and a public affairs and also a political analyst, where we're analyzing, all the political permutations that have been playing out in the political space the past couple of days. And all I would say at this point in time is that Nigerians are watching, and I hope Nigerians have learned and know what it means to vote a credible leader. And it should be beyond religious, ethnic, cultural, and all those biases. It should be for people who have the interest. We've clearly seen the leaders who do not have the interest of the people. You've seen all that is playing out. You are in the country, you are in the economy. So your vote is your right, and you have to vote wisely. And all that matters is speaking with one voice. So the power at this point is in the hands of Nigerians to decide with that one voice at the end of the day.